You do not lose your life in a single day. You lose it every time you tell yourself, I will do it tomorrow. Sound familiar? Tomorrow I will start taking life seriously. Tomorrow I will take better care of my health. Tomorrow I will call my family. Tomorrow I will do what I truly want. And just like that, an entire lifetime slips by so quietly. Quietly enough that you do not even notice you are losing yourself. I am not saying this to scare you. I am saying it because I have seen too many people live this way. Their lives are not exactly failures. They still work. They still take care of their families. They still try. But deep inside there is always this strange emptiness, because they are not truly living. They are only postponing their lives. The greatest pain in life is not doing something wrong. The greatest pain is knowing what you should do and still leaving it there. You do not procrastinate because you are lazy. You procrastinate because you think you still have time. That is the most dangerous trap of all. People are very good at fooling themselves with the words, there is still time. But the truth is, life never warns you about the last time you are still healthy, the last time you are still clear-minded, the last time there is still someone to see, the last time you still have the chance to begin again. Some things can wait until tomorrow and still be fine, but some things, if you leave them until tomorrow, are gone for good. Remember this line: tomorrow is where countless unfinished lives are buried. If you are still listening and you see yourself in these words, leave the word today in the comments. Let it remind you that from this moment on, do not postpone your life anymore. A lot of people think procrastination comes from laziness. That is not true. Most people who keep saying tomorrow are not lazy at all. They are scared. Scared to begin and get nowhere. Scared to do it badly. Scared of being judged. Scared that it is already too late. And most painful of all, scared to face the truth that they have been avoiding their own lives for far too long. So they choose to delay to feel less pressure, delay to keep the peace for now, delay so they do not have to face the feeling that they are not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. But you need to understand this. Procrastination does not make fear disappear. It only makes you smaller. Every time you do not dare to begin, you lose a little more confidence. Every time you tell yourself later, your heart quietly writes down another line. I am the kind of person who cannot do it. That is the real danger, not failure, but slowly losing faith in yourself. Some people do not lose because life is hard. They lose because they stand still for so long that their feet have not even moved, but their heart is already tired. Listen carefully to this. The fear at the beginning only hurts once. Procrastination makes you hurt quietly for years. You do not need to stop being afraid before you begin. You need to begin, and then the fear will slowly leave. If you have ever delayed something important just because you were afraid, comment, I have before. Maybe the moment you admit it is the moment you begin to step out of it. There is a bitter truth that many people only realize when they are already near the end of their lives. You are not tired because you did too much. You are tired because you spent too long living a life that was never truly yours. It sounds heavy, but it is true. So many people wake up every morning and do exactly what responsibility asks of them. Go to work, make money, take care of others, hold everything together. From the outside, everyone says that is the right way to live. But only the person living it knows that deep inside, something is slowly withering away. Why? Because they are not living according to what they truly need. They are living according to what others expect, according to society's eyes, according to what people call stability, according to the pressure of not disappointing anyone. And year after year, they become someone who is very familiar with enduring everything, but completely unfamiliar with their own soul. That is the quietest tragedy of a human life. You still smile, you still fulfill your responsibilities, you still show up on time, but in your heart you know very clearly you are living just to survive, not truly to live. A lot of people do not dare to stop for even a moment and ask themselves, do I really want this life? Because they are afraid of the answer. Afraid that they have tried so hard all this time, only to be walking in the wrong direction. Afraid that the things they traded their youth to keep were never the things that made them happy. Afraid that if they were honest with themselves, they would have to change, and change hurts. So they choose silence. They choose busyness. They choose to keep going. They choose to drag along a familiar life, even when there is no fire left inside. Then one day, they do not cry loudly anymore. They just go quiet. No excitement, no anticipation, no sense that they are moving toward anything meaningful. That is when a person starts growing old from the inside. Remember this. Living responsibly does not always mean you are living rightly. Some people are kind, selfless, and always trying their best, but they spend their whole lives without ever truly living for themselves, even once. And then age arrives. Health begins to decline. Opportunities become fewer. Children grow up. Parents grow weaker. Time is no longer as long as you thought it was. At that point, what hurts the most is not hardship. It is realizing that for all those years, you were busy doing everything except the one thing that mattered most, living honestly with your own heart. This is a line you should remember deeply. Some people do not die at the end of life. They begin dying the moment they stop living truthfully. If you feel like you have spent too long living to please everyone else, comment the word true. Sometimes just daring to admit it is already the beginning of finding your way back to yourself. Then one day you suddenly understand something painful. The biggest price in life is not being poor. It is reaching the end and realizing you let time pass far too easily. When you are young, everyone thinks there is still plenty of time. 1 year passes and it feels normal. 10 years pass and suddenly it hits you. So many people never got the chance to truly live, to make things right, to love fully. And before they know it, their hair is gray, their back is tired, and their heart is full of words left unsaid. Life is strange like that. When you have strength, you do not have money. When you have a little more money, you do not have time. When you finally have time, your health is no longer what it used to be. So the greatest tragedy is not that you struggled. The greatest tragedy is that you kept thinking everything important was still ahead of you, while many of the most beautiful things had already quietly been left behind. Some people wait until they are free to go visit their parents, and when they are finally free, there is no one sitting at the door waiting anymore. Some people wait until things settle down to take care of their body, and by the time life feels more stable, their body has already started sending the bill. Some people wait for the right time to live the life they want. But the truth is this: there is no perfect time in life. There is only the moment you finally decide to stop postponing. Listen carefully to this. Time does not steal your life. Your hesitation does. Do not wait for a beautiful day to begin. So many lives fall apart simply because they waited too long. If there is still one thing in your heart that you know you need to do, comment, "Do it now." Let it remind you that the latest moment was not yesterday. The latest moment is continuing to push it into tomorrow. There is one mistake almost everyone makes at least once in life. We get so busy chasing achievements that we forget what we are trading away. When people are young, they think they just need to push a little harder. One more year of work, a few more chances to make money, a few more goals to reach, a few more things to prove they are not behind anyone else. And so life turns into a race with no finish line. You achieve one thing and it still does not feel like enough. You surpass one person and then you want to surpass someone else. You have more than you had yesterday, but your heart is still restless. That is when you need to wake up. Not everything worth chasing is worth sacrificing for. Some people trade health for money, trade peace for status, trade dinner with family for the endless race outside, trade the years when they still have real life in them for the feeling that they are staying on track. But sooner or later you will understand the most important things in life are usually not loud. A body that is still healthy, a home still filled with laughter, a loved one you can still call, a mind that still feels light when you wake up. When people still have these things, they treat them as normal. Once they lose them, no achievement is enough to replace them. Listen carefully to this. Many people do not fail because they are too weak. They collapse because they chased the wrong things. You do not need to have everything. You need to know what is truly worth holding on to. Do not wait until you are standing on top of all your achievements, only to realize you have many things in your hands, but not much life left in your heart. If there was ever a time when you were running so fast that you forgot what truly mattered, comment, wake up. Maybe that is the moment you stop running blindly and start living for real. There is something people often realize far too late. The two things you are most likely to neglect while trying to live your life are family and health. And ironically, in the end, those are the two things you need the most. When people are young, they all think they are sacrificing for the right reasons. Being a little busier to build a better future. Working a little harder so the home can feel more secure. Trying a little more so loved ones do not have to struggle as much. It sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible. But life is not only lost through wrong decisions. It is also lost through choices that seem right, but go on for too long. You say, tomorrow I will go home and visit. Tomorrow I will take my loved one for a health checkup. Tomorrow I will rest. Tomorrow I will go to bed early. Tomorrow I will exercise. Tomorrow I will say something kind. And then that tomorrow stretches into months, into years, into a whole stretch of life. Human beings are strange. When we are healthy, we use our health to trade for money, position, and responsibility. Then when the body starts hurting, starts wearing down, starts showing signs that cannot be ignored, we finally understand one cold truth. Without health, every plan has to step aside. The same is true for family. A lot of people think that as long as they provide enough money, they have done their duty. No. Money matters, but presence matters even more. A meal where everyone is at the table. A phone call just to check in. A moment of truly listening. A simple question like, "Mom, how have you been feeling lately?" A simple question like, "Are you really doing okay?" These things seem small, but once they are gone, they become the deepest regrets. Some people spend their whole lives going far away to take care of their family. And one day when they come back, they realize they have truly grown far away from that family. Some people always think their parents are still there. Their loved ones are still there. Home is still there. But time does not stand still and wait for anyone. People grow old and weak very quickly. A warm home can turn cold very quickly. And some doors, once they close, you do not get a second chance to knock on them again. Listen carefully to this. The deepest pain in life is not failing to keep many things. It is realizing that by the time you want to hold on, what mattered most is no longer whole. If you still have your health, do not wait until your body speaks through pain before you finally listen. If you still have family, do not wait until they are gone to realize that your presence was worth more than every excuse about being busy. Remember this: success that costs you your health and your loved ones is often just failure wrapped in beautiful paper. If you still have people to love and you still have a body to care for, then you still have the chance to make things right. Do not wait until you are lying there at the very end to realize you gave too much of yourself to everything out there and far too little to the people closest to you. If you have made it this far and you feel your heart sink a little, comment, "There is still time." Let it remind you that if you are still breathing, still able to walk, still have someone you can call home, then it is not too late to live differently. And in the end, after everything, every person arrives at one very honest question: have I truly lived, or have I only existed until the end? At a certain age, you will no longer fear hardship the way you once did. What scares you more is looking back at the years that have passed, looking back at the times you stayed silent when you should have spoken, looking back at the things you knew mattered, but waited too long to do. At that point, what hurts people is not that they once failed, is that they lived too cautiously, too fearfully, too hesitantly, too busy trying to please life itself that they forgot their own heart. Some people grow old naturally, but some people grow old inside regret. They keep living day after day, but deep down there is always an emptiness they cannot put into words, because they know there were years when they absolutely could have lived differently. Listen carefully to this. Growing old is not the scary part. The scary part is growing old and only then realizing you never truly lived. You do not need to do anything huge right away, but you do need to stop lying to yourself with the words tomorrow, because many times what you need is not more time. What you need is enough courage to live truthfully with whatever part of life you still have left. If today you can still hear these words, then life is still giving you a chance, not to keep regretting, but to live differently. If you also believe that as long as you are alive, there is still time to rebuild your life, comment the word live, and share this video with someone who still thinks they have plenty of tomorrows left.